So urinary bladder and the urethra. So urinary bladder is a storehouse of the urine which gets emptied to the urethra during the micturations. Okay, so this is temporary storehouse. So here the male urethra is observing the functions of the urination and the ejaculation board, and female urethra is for urination only, and it is 4 centimeter long. Okay, so urinary bladder. So this is the muscular organ. Okay, for and it is acting as the reservoir of the urine, which lies in the anterior part of the pelvic cavity. Fine, and it adapted uh, for mass contraction of rather than the peristalsis. Okay, means all the muscles are contracting together. So what are the external features when we take the new bladder in our hand? How we'll see what are the features. So it is a tetrahedral in shape, okay, or pyramidal you can say. So it is having the apex directed upward and forward, and the base or the fundus, which is directed backward. Okay, means posterior surface of the urine bladder is directed backward, and it is having the neck, okay, which is the lowest and the most fixed part of the bladder. So it is directed downward, and the rest three surfaces are the superior and right and left infralateral surfaces. The four borders are there. So two lateral borders between the superior and each infralateral surface. One is the anterior between the infralateral surfaces, and one is the posterior between the superior and the posterior surface. That is the base of the urinary bladder. Okay, so when the bladder is full, okay, the empty bladder I described. When the bladder is full with the urine and it ascends from the pelvic cavity to the lower part of the anterior part of abdomen, not in the peritoneal cavity, but abdominal cavity we can see while lifting the peritoneal membrane on the lower part of the anterior abdominal wall. So here it becomes ovoid in shape. Okay, so it is having the apex directed upward toward the umbilicus, then neck directed downward, and the two surfaces, the anterior and posterior surface. Means infralateral surfaces become single surface, and base, that is the posterior surface and the superior surface, they become posterior surface after full bladder. You can see this is the empty bladder. Okay, it is the pelvic organ, fine. So you can see on the right side of yours on the screen, on the our right side, you can see the apex. Okay, means this bladder we are seeing from right side. Okay, so you can see anteriorly the apex is there. This is the upper surface. I will just see the laser point. So this is the apex. Can you see? This is the superior surface, infralateral surface on either side. This is the right side of the infralateral surface. Then posterior to this superior surface, when you go posterior, there will be the posterior surface that is known as the base. Okay. Then the borders. So this is the lateral border on either side. This is the anterior border between the infralateral surfaces, posterior border. Okay. And this is the neck. Okay. It's corresponding to the internal urethral orifice, and this is the apex directed forward. But when the bladder is full, So it get ascend in upper part, in the lower part of the abdominal wall and become directed upward. So we see what are the relation of the various part of the bladder. So you can see here the apex is connected to the umbilicus by the median umbilical ligament. Okay. So in this diagram, previous diagram, we can see the median umbilical ligament ascending from the apex. So this median umbilical ligament is the remnant of the urethra, or you can see the allantois. Okay, so this allantois is extending from or evagination from the yolk sac. Okay, this is a separate saucer outgrowth from the yolk sac. Okay, and it descends downward in the lower part of the abdomen, and the distal portion is developing into the urinary bladder, and the remaining part toward the umbilicus it is getting obliterated in the form of the median umbilical ligament containing the urethra. Okay, that fibrous structure is known as the urethra. And the base, so in the female, it is related to the uterine cervix and upper part of the vagina, and in the male, the upper part of the base is separated from the rectum by rectovesical pouch. Okay, and the lower part is related to the seminal vesicles and the termination of the vas deferens. You can see here the seminal vesicle will come on the posterior surface, and toward the inferior side you can see the neck. So neck is related to, it is mostly fixed. Okay, it is on the upper part of the prostate gland. So in male, the smooth muscle bundles around the bladder neck and its proprostatic urethra. Okay, so female is not having prostate. So in male, the preprostatic urethra will be there, and these are arranged as a distinct circular collar with their own distinct adrenergic innervation. So this is the preprostatic sphincter and is devoid of the parasympathetic cholinergic nerve. So it is the part of the proximal urethral sphincter mechanism. And in females, the neck is related to the pelvic fascia. The superior surface in male, it is completely covered by the peritoneum and it's in contact with the sigmoid colon and the colons of the terminal ileum. And in female, the upper surface, the peritoneum covers the greater part of the superior surface except the posterior aspect. So peritoneum from the superior surface is reflected back to the isthmus of the uterus to form the vesico-uterine pouch. Okay, so the space of the peritoneal cavity between the uterus and the bladder is known as the vesico-uterine pouch. Fine. Now the infralateral surfaces. In the male, each surface is related to the pubis, the puboprostatic ligaments, the retropubic fat, means behind the pubic bone, the levator ani, which is having the anterior attachment on the posterior surface of the pubic bone, and the obturator internus. Okay. So in the hip bone, around the obturator cavity. Okay. So obturator cavity there is the canal of foramen, obturator foramen. There is the attachment of the obturator internus on the inner surfaces and obturator externus on the outer surface. So we have seen already in lower limb. And the next relation is in female. The relations are same except that puboprostatic ligaments are replaced by the pubovesical ligament because prostate gland is not present in female. Okay. So when bladder become full with the urine, the lower part comes in direct contact with the anterior abdominal wall, and there it is having no intervening peritoneum because it is getting lifted up. So this part can be approached by surgically without entering the peritoneal cavity. Means whenever there is a requirement of any or to enter into the bladder cavity, so without going to the urethra and all, wait through the prostatic urethra and male, we can directly approach in the full bladder per abdomen. Okay, so we have to just make hole. Okay, into the anterior part, lower part of the anterior abdominal wall, like during the insertion of the suprapubic catheter. You can see this is a posterior relation of the male urinary bladder. So here you can see that base, that is posterior surface in the upper part. It is also covered by the peritoneum. So this peritoneum is covering the upper part of the posterior surface in the male. The remaining part is in contact with the rectum anal canal posterior surface in the male urethra. You can see the ureter is emptying on the superolateral angle of the posterior surface of the base, and it is crossed over by the vas deferens or ductus deferens. Okay. The lower part is swollen as the ampulla, and it is entering into the urethra through the piercing the prostate gland, and it is getting the ejaculatory duct from the seminal vesicles. The seminal vesicle is also related to the posterior surface of the bladder. Okay, so this is the relation of the posterior surface. Okay, what are the ligaments attached to the bladder? So true ligaments. So they are the lateral two ligament attaching the bladder to the pelvic wall. The lateral pivoprostatic ligament. Okay, means from the pubic, that from posterior surface of the pubic bone to the lateral surface of the prostate gland. The medial pivoprostatic ligament. In female, bands are similar to the pivoprostatic ligament known as the pivovesical ligament. The median umbilical ligament containing the urethra, we already seen, and the posterior ligament of the bladder attached to the sacral bone. So you can see all these ligaments in here. The pivovesical ligament on the anterior part. So in female, it is the pivovesical ligament. In male, it will be replaced by the pivoprostatic ligament. Lateral ligament you can see attached to the pelvic wall. Posterior ligament and the lateral ligament of rectum you can see also. Now we see what is the inner aspect of the bladder is there. So when we cut the bladder, and see the inner surfaces, so we'll see the most of the part will we see the folded mucosa. It is having the irregular folds due to its loose attachment to the muscular cord. So how will it be attached to the muscular cord and mucous membrane through submucous layer? Okay. So in a small triangular area. So there is a triangular area on the posterior surface. Okay, on the posterior side, that triangular area is very strongly attached to the muscular cord. So there is no fold you will find. Okay, so that triangular area is inverted. The apex is directed downward, base is directed upward. Okay, so upward base on its either side, having the opening of the ureter. Okay, and on the apex, which is directed downward, it is going toward the internal opening of the urethra. That is the urethral orifice. Okay, so all the urethral and the urethral opening is around the angle of the trigone. So this trigon is very important structure of the urinary bladder. And also why it is attached to the muscular cord, because of the different, its origin is different developmentally. Okay, different from the other part of the bladder. Okay, so what is the capacity of the bladder? So it is in adult male is about 220 ml. Okay, so it varies from the 120 to 320 ml. But if it's getting filled up to 500 ml, so it can be tolerated till that if its condition is not suitable for the maturation. But beyond this, it will be become very painful. So rapid pain is felt in the lower part of the anterior-abdominal wall with the perineum and the penis also. Now, what are the vascular supply? The main supply is the superior and the inferior vesical artery. The superior vesical arteries are coming from the inferior mesenteric vessel, and the inferior vesicle from the iliac branches. Iliac is from the systemic blood supply, and inferior mesenteric is from the visceral. That is, it will drain into the portal. So that is the site for both the bladder is having the site for the portocaval anastomosis. And additional supply is coming from other vessels in the pelvic cavity. So all these are given: the obturator, internal gluteal arteries, okay, the uterine and the vaginal artery in the female, and the venous drainage is same, okay, but it is forming the vesical plexus around the infralateral surfaces, and it drains into the internal iliac veins. The lymphatic drainage. So most of the lymphatics are from urinary bladder are terminating into the external iliac lymph nodes. Now we see the nerve supply very important. So parasympathetic supply is that is efferent, okay, for that motor fiber. It's known as the nervi ergenti coming from the S234. So pelvic cavity, the organs of the pelvic cavity for the parasympathetic nerve, they are getting the presynaptic fibers from the segment S2, S3, S4. Above that, they are getting the nerve fiber from the vagus nerve. So just remember this. So these are motor to the detrusor muscles. The muscles of the urinary bladder are known as the detrusor muscles. Okay. So by seeing these muscles and the pattern of the mucous membrane, you have to identify the urinary bladder on the histological slide also. Okay, the sympathetic efferent fibers are coming from the T11 to L2 segment, which are motor to the pre-prostatic sphincter mechanism. Okay, so sympathetic is helping in retention of the urine, and parasympathetic is helping in the emptying of the bladder. So if any nerve supply of these is damaged, so it will lead to the clinical manifestation. So parasympathetic damage is there along this pathway, so it will lead to the retention of the urine, difficulty in the emptying, and if the sympathetic fibers are the sympathetic supply are cut off, so there will be the incontinence of the urine. So there will be control, the loss of the control of urine retention, and they are the afferent supply from the somatic pudendal nerve, that is from S2 S4, supply the sphincter, which is voluntary and situated within the wall of the urethra, and the sensory nerve, which is the afferent. So they are pain sensation caused by the distension and carried mainly by the parasympathetic nerve. So pain sensation of the full urine bladder is carried by the parasympathetic finally. You can see this is the interior of the urinary bladder. The anterior part has been cut and it has been shown the posterior part. So you can see this part is having the detrusor muscles, and this posterior surface, on the posterior surface of the inner aspect, you can see this inverted triangle So this effect that downward, base directed upward. So you can see here it is opening into the or it is the lower end, that is the apex, corresponding to the internal urethral orifice. The upper part, the base, on the lateral side, it is having the openings of the ureters. And you can see on the lower aspect, the surface of the trigone is having the elevation known as the uvula vesicae. Right? This elevation is present due to the presence of the or entering of ejaculatory duct from the posterior bladder, which is open into the prostate gland. Okay, so you can see this is, and you also can see the how the ureter is opening into the this ureter. It is not directly perpendicular to that, but it is following the oblique pathway while this is entering into the bladder wall. Okay, and obliquely it is entering into the or opening into the cavity. Okay. This is the cystoscopy method. So bladder can be, the cavity of the bladder can be seen by the endoscopy. The method is known as the cystoscopy. So it is approached through the um, penile urethra and all along the pathway. The applied aspect. So interior of the bladder can be examined by the cystoscope. The emptying of the bladder, how the bladder is emptied. So it is essentially a reflex function. So involving the motor and the sensory pathway board. So the pyramidal tract, which is helping in the functionally it is in the voluntary control. So acute injury to the cervical or thoracic segment of the spinal cord can lead to the state of the spinal shock. So bladder will distend and urine will be dribbled. So after 2 days, the bladder starts contracting. When it is full, it contracts every 2 to 4 hours, and then it is called the automatic reflex bladder. And damage to the sacral segment of the spinal cord, situated in the lower thoracic and the lumbar one vertebrae, results in the autonomous bladder. Okay, so bladder will be flaccid and its capacity is greatly increased. So it just fills to the capacity and overflows. Okay, beyond the 500 ml it can fill, and after that it will overflow because um, the contraction of the sphincter will be remaining there due to the sympathetic activity, so it will not open. So it will only uh, come out due to the enormous great pressure. Okay, so there will be the dribbling of the urine.